Today, let's look at 100 advanced adjectives you can add to your vocabulary bank. I've collected all of these from my own conversations, the news, books, and movies. If I see them, you'll see them. Here's what's going to happen. 10 adjectives plus test. 10 adjectives plus test. We're going to keep doing this until we reach 100 adjectives. Before we begin, I want to answer a few questions. Are these adjectives common? Are these adjectives formal or informal? Are these adjectives American English or British English? First, some adjectives are more common than others. If you want that advanced level, you need to know a bit of everything. Second, if a word is formal and can be used in academic writing, I'll add a top hat. If it is informal and you can use it in a casual conversation, I'll add a baseball cap. Most adjectives in today's lesson are both. They're neutral. Last question. Well, I'm American, so today's lesson is based on that. But don't worry too much about that. The most important thing is that you learn something new today. Are you ready to begin? My name's Arnell. Let's start. Number 1, debatable. 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 What's this part here? It's the word stress. We say debatable, not debatable or debatable. Word stress is incredibly important. So for each word, I'll add the word stress. And you can see this word can be used in writing and casual conversations. It's a neutral word. Definition. People do not agree on something because there are too many opinions. Money can't buy happiness. That's debatable. Some people agree, some people do not. You know the noun debate? A debate is when two or more people have a conversation about their different opinions. You can have a political debate or a debate in school. So this adjective is like a debate. It's debatable whether taking vitamins actually boosts your immune system or not. Pineapple on pizza is a debatable choice for many people. Do you like pineapple on pizza? 2, picky. 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 This is a negative adjective. This is not positive. Definition. Someone only chooses what they like. They don't want other options. My daughter is a picky eater. She only eats sandwiches. I don't want that. I don't want that. Don't want that. Teenagers can be really picky about what they wear. No, that's ugly. That's not cool. I don't like that color. You can't afford to be picky if you're shopping on a budget. The client was extremely picky about the logo design, so we went through 5 revisions. Are you picky about anything? I'm picky when it comes to coffee. My coffee has to be hot, but not too hot. And there needs to be milk, but not too much milk. I'm really picky about this. 3, absurd. Absurd. Ridiculous and unreasonable. It makes you a little angry. $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment? That's absurd. Zach came up with an absurd excuse for missing the important meeting. You'll never believe it. My dog ate my car keys. Seriously? It's absurd how much paperwork the embassy makes you hand in for a visitor's visa. And hand in is a phrasal verb that means give something to a person of authority, like a teacher, policeman, the government. Don't forget, if I'm going too quickly for you, you can always pause the lesson to review the notes. 4. Washed up. Washed up. Washed up. You are not successful, popular, or famous anymore. Your time is done. We are usually referring to celebrities and athletes. The pop star was recently called washed up by a critic after her latest album failed to chart in the top 10. I'm not interested in that reality TV show. It's just a bunch of washed up celebrities who want to be famous again. Imagine a model. At just 28, Jasmine was worried that she was a washed up model, fearing that her time in the spotlight was over as the fashion industry began to favor newer, younger talent. With washed up, there's usually a hyphen between the two words if it comes before a noun. A washed up actress, a washed up TV presenter, etc. 5. Lighthearted. 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 Okay, I want you to imagine a heart. If a heart is light, is this positive or negative? It's positive. There's a positive feeling like... Definition. Not serious and fun. People don't need to think too much. And this adjective can be spelled with or without the hyphen. Does English spelling drive you nuts? Yeah, me too. Comedians are often hired for charity events to make light-hearted jokes to help raise funds. Our boss usually brings a light-hearted approach to every meeting, making everyone feel that they can speak their minds. Mike tried to present the company's financial difficulties in a light-hearted way so no one would start to panic about losing their jobs. 6. Lightheaded. Number 5. Lighthearted is positive, but lightheaded is not. Definition. If you are lightheaded, you feel a bit dizzy. If I stand up too quickly, I get lightheaded. I skipped breakfast and started to feel pretty lightheaded around 11. People may feel a little lightheaded when climbing to high altitudes, especially during the more strenuous parts of the hike. Strenuous is not part of my list today, but it's still a good adjective. It means something takes a lot of effort, physically or mentally. 7. Dumbfounded. Dumbfounded. Notice that the B is silent. Dumbfounded. Definition. You are shocked and confused. You cannot speak. You know, when someone is dumbfounded, they make this kind of expression. Or either one. That's dumbfounded. During our history class, we were all dumbfounded when the teacher announced that the exam would be open book. When we say open book, we mean that students can use their books during a test. So this could shock students. They could be like, what? We can use our books? Everyone in the courtroom was dumbfounded by the witness's answer. It made no sense at all. I think we were all dumbfounded when we found a perfectly circular rock in the middle of the forest. When was the last time you were dumbfounded? 8. Obsequious. 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 And this adjective is very formal. It is not common to hear in spoken English at all. You might see it in a novel, literature, that type of thing. Definition: trying too hard to make someone happy or like you. This adjective doesn't have a positive feeling. Imagine someone being like me, like me, like me, I'll do anything for you. Eric's obsequious attitude made it difficult to tell if he was genuinely interested in the conversation or just trying to please everyone. The politician's obsequious behavior toward the wealthy donors raised suspicions about his true intentions. If you would just stop being so obsequious, people might actually start respecting you. So again, not so common in daily conversations, but possible. Vacant, vacant, vacant. This adjective can mean two things. Not occupied. A space is not being used. My dad taught me to drive in a vacant parking lot near our house. Unfortunately, there were no vacant rooms at the hotel, and we had to keep looking. Second definition: there is a blank expression on your face, like, hello, hello. So, this is similar to the first definition. Your face and your mind are vacant. My students' vacant stares made it clear to me that no one was paying attention. I saw Julie sitting by the window with a vacant expression on her face. I wonder what she was thinking about. 10. Moving, moving, moving. Definition: causing strong emotions of sadness, empathy, or joy. This is a really deep feeling. I mean, look at these two emojis. There is sadness and joy. Powerful songs can be incredibly moving. Music is an essential part of cinema, and a moving soundtrack can really amplify the emotional impact of certain scenes. I'm sure you've experienced that. Devin, a cancer survivor, gave a moving speech reminding us that hope can be found in the darkest times. Right! First 10 adjectives done. Time to review. Please complete each sentence with one of the adjectives. Pause the video to do this. And here are the answers. How did you do on test 1? Let me know. Did you get 10 correct out of 10? Or 6 correct out of 10? Please let me know. Let's keep going. Let's move on to part 2. 11. Tasteful. 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 Definition: the style looks good. Sophisticated. We are usually speaking about how a room is decorated or clothes. Anne-Marie wore a tasteful black dress to the dinner party. Simple but elegant. The restaurant's interior was tasteful, with soft lighting and elegant furniture. The couple chose a tasteful wedding invitation with a minimal design and soft colors. I want to compare 2 wedding invitations. Okay, in my opinion, this wedding invitation is tasteful. Let's compare it to this one. Okay, do you think this invitation is tasteful? I don't think so, with free pizza and karaoke. So, what's the opposite of tasteful? Tacky. 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 Definition: looks cheap and badly made. Not sophisticated. Not tasteful. I know Jess and Simon are artists, but their living room is a bit tacky. don't you think? The mug with best boss ever and glittery hearts was kind of tacky, but funny. And tacky isn't just used with visual things. It can even be for behavior. Oversharing personal drama on social media can be tacky and doesn't reflect well on the person. Incessant. 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 Definition. Something you don't like never stops. It keeps continuing. My colleague's complaints are incessant. She never stops complaining about work, her life, her family. It never ends. I couldn't sleep because of the incessant barking from the neighbor's dog. I turned off all notifications on my phone because I was tired of the incessant distractions while working. Okay, do you remember this example from number 3? Zach came up with an absurd excuse like, "You'll never believe it, my dog ate my car keys." If Zach said this to you, would you A, take him seriously, B, laugh, C, give him a vacant stare? Well, I think most people would laugh. Why? Because it's ridiculous. You can't believe him. This brings us on to number 14. Laughable. 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 Definition: something is so ridiculous you think it's a joke. You laugh. Is laughable a positive adjective? No. Zach's excuse was laughable. Nobody believed him. One company I interviewed for wanted me to work full-time, unpaid. It was laughable. 1 in 5 people are aliens. Some of the articles in this newspaper are laughable. Who buys these? Immature. 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 Definition: to not act your age. You act like someone much younger than you. I thought Bill's reaction to his team losing the game was really immature. Only a child behaves like this. It was immature of Sandra to roll her eyes when the team leader suggested a new project idea. And roll your eyes means to do this. Again. 16. Versatile. 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 Definition: can be used in many different ways. Let's take the potato. Potatoes are a versatile vegetable. Versatile vegetable. That's kind of fun to say. Versatile vegetable. Why are potatoes versatile? Well, you can make fries, hash browns, mashed potatoes, baked potatoes, lots of options. A black blazer is one of the most versatile pieces you can have in your wardrobe. You can wear it with jeans, a dress, a skirt. You know, a blazer can be formal or casual. Meryl Streep is a versatile actress. She can play any character flawlessly. Deceitful. 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 A person lies and cheats, wants to trick you. Car salesmen have a reputation for using deceitful tactics to persuade customers to pay more than necessary. It's hard to forgive someone who has been consistently deceitful in a friendship. Okay, if someone is deceitful, they lie and cheat. They often pretend to be nice, but then they actually aren't. It's like they have 2 different faces. This brings me to number 18. Two-faced. 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 A person acts nice in one situation, but then acts mean in another. They are deceitful. Don't trust her. She's been two-faced with everyone in the office. Paul's so-called best friend was actually a horrible, two-faced person who loved gossiping. Think about your life. Can you think about anyone who has been two-faced? And here we see another great adjective, so-called. This one is number 19. So-called. 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 A name or description is not accurate. Let's do a few examples. This so-called healthy snack has more sugar than a candy bar. Is healthy snack a good name? No, people say granola bars are healthy, but there is often more sugar than candy bars. I followed a so-called fitness expert online, but her tips didn't work at all. Is this person an expert? No, I don't think so. Some companies have been criticized for promoting so-called environmentally friendly products that still harm the planet. In our example from number 18, you can see so-called best friend. Do I think he's a best friend? No, it's not an accurate description. We are on number 20. Wow. There's already been so much information. I'm sure your mind is spinning right now. Are you feeling lightheaded? I'm sure you are. So I want you to take a deep breath in and out. Do you feel better? Did that help you relieve some tension? If something gives you an emotional release, you feel better, it is cathartic. 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 This word is usually formal. It's not very conversational, but I personally like this word and would use it in a conversation. It's uncommon for adults to talk about crying, but it can be extremely cathartic. You know, people feel better after crying, right? So, after 100 adjectives, I want you to cry. It's cathartic. Johnny found boxing to be a cathartic release, allowing him to channel his frustration into something physical. What about you? What types of things do you find cathartic? Test time part 2. Put one adjective into each sentence. Pause the video to do this. And here are the answers. For numbers 7 and 8, two-faced and deceitful can be interchangeable. But just remember that deceitful is more about lies and two-faced is more about showing two different sides. Give me your score for test 2 in the comments. Ooh, this hotel is expensive and stylish. Ooh, this meal looks expensive and stylish. If something is expensive, stylish, and attracts attention, it is swanky. 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 We spent 3 nights in a swanky hotel for our honeymoon. Our boss took the entire team out to a swanky restaurant to say, well done. Steph lives in a swanky apartment overlooking Central Park. 22. Extravagant. 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 Spending more money than necessary. You want things to look swanky. At the fashion show, the models wore extravagant outfits covered in beads and sequins. These are beads and these are sequins. Many people are jealous of the extravagant lifestyle of celebrities. Sylvia and Derek threw an extravagant party with expensive decorations and a live band for their 20th wedding anniversary. You know, extravagant isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes in life, you want things to be extravagant. 23. Quaint. Quaint. Just one syllable. Quaint. Attractive because it has an old-fashioned and unusual look, like from a fairy tale. We drove by lots of quaint cottages on our trip. The gift shop we stopped by was full of quaint handmade souvenirs. Picturesque. 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 Definition: a pretty scene that could be in a painting or picture. We are often speaking about landscapes, unusual cities, towns, or villages. So, what's the difference between number 23, quaint, and number 24, picturesque? Well, quaint often describes one thing, like a quaint village, a quaint house. Picturesque often describes a whole scene, but sometimes it can be used interchangeably. This island is known for its picturesque beaches and crystal clear waters. When we went to Mykonos, we were lucky to have such a picturesque view from our balcony. Is folding laundry boring? Yes. Is being stuck in traffic boring? Yes. Is doing your taxes boring? Yes. Are these tasks long, boring, repetitive, and can cause a bit of frustration? Yes. Number 25. Tedious. 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 Do you find learning English grammar tedious? I was given the tedious task of scanning over 200 pages of legal paperwork for review. Misleading. 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 Definition: not accurate information. Makes people think something else is true. Is it lying? No, not exactly. Let's take a look. An ad makes the hamburger look really good, but in reality, this is what you get. Many ads online, or in general, are misleading. Pictures and descriptions often make products look better than they are. Many thumbnails on YouTube are misleading. They don't represent the video well. It's a bit misleading for the publishing company to claim that the book sold out in just 30 minutes. I mean, they only had 5 copies available to begin with. 27. Touchy. 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 A person is easily offended. A topic easily offends people. Marissa gets a bit touchy whenever you give her any type of criticism at all. Ooh. Politics can be a touchy topic at family gatherings, especially during elections. Do you know why Julian has been so touchy lately? Terrific. 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 Amazing. Super. Very good. Now, is this one an advanced adjective? I don't think so, but I like this adjective, so I'm teaching it today. You did a terrific job on your presentation. That's a terrific idea. Why didn't I think of that? How was your weekend? Terrific. You know, a lot of students say, very good, very good. Very good. Try using terrific. Discreet. 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 Definition. You are careful that something private does not attract attention. Nobody notices. I told my boss something very personal about my health. I appreciated her discreet manner and allowing me to take time off. Mia and Victor thought they were being discreet when discussing downsizing the company, but the whole office knew. Many hotels and restaurants have a discreet entrance at the back, offering privacy to its high-profile guests. Loyal. 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 Definition, you are dedicated to one person, company, group, etc., even in difficult situations. Dogs. Dogs are known for being loyal animals. They will love you forever, no matter what. Anna has been a loyal employee at this company for over 15 years. She's been given better offers at other companies, but she loves the people she works with and has a great work-life balance. Knights. Knights were loyal to their king, always ready to defend his kingdom. Are you a loyal customer to any particular brand? Is there a brand that you always buy from? Part 3, test time. Okay, the word terrific is such a general word that it can be used in more than one space. But try to find the best adjective for each space. Pause the lesson to do this. And here are the answers. How did you do? Please leave me your score for test 3 in the comments. Number 31, detrimental. 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 Definition, this can damage your health, progress, or success. Classic example, smoking. Smoking is detrimental to your health. Too much screen time can be detrimental to children's development. Notice how we often say detrimental to something, but not always. Consistently ignoring customer feedback can have a detrimental effect on your business's reputation. Superficial. 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 Definition, only on the surface. Paper cuts are superficial, and you usually don't even need a Band-Aid. Paper cuts. Paper cuts are those annoying little cuts we can get on our hands, and they're only on the surface, but they're so annoying. This definition is literal, but superficial has another definition. Only things on the surface are important. What do I mean? Well, first, let's think about what kind of things are important in life. Health, family, friends, peace, happiness. For a superficial person, these things are not important. Liz only cares about superficial things like designer clothes, expensive handbags, and perfect selfies. My friendship with Jill always felt superficial. We never talked about anything real or personal. Awful. 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 Terrible. Very bad. Horrible. That movie was awful. I couldn't even finish it. The cookies my son baked tasted awful, but I still pretended to enjoy them. I'm awful at remembering names, so please remind me again. I think many of you already know awful, but again, a lot of times my students say, very bad, very bad. That is correct, but try saying awful. 34, questionable. 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 Definition: you have doubts because you feel something is not true or wrong. Remember adjective number 1, debatable? Well, if a topic is debatable, we can have a debate. Here with number 34, if something is questionable, you can ask questions. Megan's story about how she lost $1,000 sounded questionable, but no one wanted to confront her. If you listen to Megan's story, you might have questions because it doesn't sound true. How Jeremiah got accepted into such a good school is questionable. Some say his parents made a large donation. I have questions. He was never a good student. How did he get accepted? It's questionable whether the new law will help small businesses. Here, people aren't sure this law will help. They have doubts. Tough. Tough. You can see it has one syllable. Tough. But we're going to look at 2 definitions. The first one, difficult. Learning the 12 tenses in English is tough. It is hard to memorize the structures and know when to use them. Esmeralda had a tough time adjusting to life in the US. She really missed her country and family. Tough can also mean strong because something can't break easily. We can speak about objects like denim. Denim is a tough material. You can wear a pair of jeans for years. We can also speak about people being physically or mentally strong. My grandma is tough. She raised 8 kids on a farm and never complained. Preposterous. 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 Completely ridiculous, absurd, or impossible to believe. Number 3 in today's lesson is absurd. Yes, preposterous is a synonym. The idea that aliens built the pyramids is preposterous. People once thought it was preposterous to believe machines could fly, yet today air travel is a normal part of life. Oh my God. It's Zach with another preposterous excuse. I couldn't buy you a birthday present because a bird stole my credit card. Okay, I'm going to do numbers 37 and 38 together because they are so similar. Chewy, chewy, chewy. Gooey, gooey, gooey. Chewy. A soft food that you need to chew for a long time. And the verb chew is to do this. What kinds of foods are chewy? Bubblegum, gummy bears, dried mango, and some bread. Some bread can be chewy. Is chewy a positive or a negative adjective? Well, it depends. I like chewy things like bubble tea, but chewy meat might mean it's not cooked well. This cheap steak is chewy and dry. Gooey, soft and sticky. What kinds of things can be gooey? Caramel, melted chocolate, glue, slime. You can see gooey isn't just for food. The melted candle wax left a gooey mess on the table. Content, content, content. Happy with the situation or your life. You have no complaints. I've never been more content than I am right now, sitting by the fire with a cup of hot cocoa. Should we take the kids out? No, they're content just playing in their rooms. Why can't you just be content with what you have instead of always wanting more? What about you? When do you feel content? Insipid. 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 Not interesting. Not exciting. Boring. We are usually talking about food, experiences, and people. Although the speaker had an interesting topic, the presentation was insipid. I lost interest within the first 10 minutes. Coffee from this diner is often pale and insipid. I would rather pay triple for a better cup of coffee. It's hard to make conversation with Caroline. She has nothing to say, and all of her answers to my questions were so insipid that I began to question her intelligence. Part 4, test. The adjective awful is a very general adjective and can technically be used in more than one space, but try to put the adjectives in the most appropriate sentence. Pause the video to do this. And here are the answers. Let me know your score. Let's move on. Generic. 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 Not specific or unique in any way. We are usually speaking about products you can buy or just daily life. You can buy medicine from a popular brand, but the generic options cost less and have the same thing. Usually generic brands just have the product name. There's no logo or anything special. Cereal, cheese, tissue. Don't worry about writing a long email. Just write a very generic response about not being available due to personal commitments. Eye-opening. 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 Definition: you learn something new. This surprises you. It makes you open your eyes. Traveling to different countries can be an eye-opening experience. It's eye-opening for young people to leave home and realize how expensive life is when they start paying their own bills. When was the last time you had an eye-opening experience? Critical. 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 This adjective has 3 definitions we're going to look at. First definition: someone criticizes a lot. Growing up, I felt like my mother was always critical of everything I did, from the way I dressed to the friends I chose. I could never make her happy. My teacher was very critical of my essay. She even criticized the pen I used. So criticize is the verb, critical is the adjective here. Second definition: extremely important. Without this, there is no survival or success. Water. Water is critical for survival, as a human body cannot function without it. Extremely important. Third definition: extremely serious, could result in death. With this definition, we are speaking about illnesses or injuries. Dean was rushed to the hospital after the accident. His wife told me his condition is critical. You can see critical is a versatile adjective. Remember versatile, number 16? Viral. 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 First definition: related to a virus. The doctor said I had a viral infection, so antibiotics wouldn't help. Viral illnesses like the common cold can spread very quickly. Now, the second definition is common in terms of social media. An image or video on YouTube, TikTok, etc. becomes extremely popular. It spreads like a virus. Did you see that dance challenge? What dance challenge? I don't remember what it's called, but it went viral and now everyone is doing it. And normally we say go viral. Something goes viral or went viral. Can you think of any viral trends, images, or videos that you have recently seen? 45. Excruciating. 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 Definition: extremely hard to deal with because of pain or worry. This can be physical or emotional. After my knee surgery, the excruciating pain made it nearly impossible to move. I got a really bad sunburn on my trip. It was excruciating just taking a shower. The next examples are emotional. During the eulogy, David described the excruciating feeling of losing a loved one. And a eulogy. Eulogy is a speech given to speak about someone who has died. This is an excruciating feeling. And it's often used as an exaggeration. Waiting for my IELTS test results is excruciating. If I get a 7, I get the job. If I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is excruciating. 46. Arable. 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 Did you know that this word is actually a new word for me? I was watching a TV show called Clarkson's Farm, and they used the word arable. I was like, what word is that? So I learned something new. Definition: you can use this land to grow crops. And crops are plants that are grown to be sold, like wheat, corn, potatoes, things like that. Only a small part of this island is arable. The rest is too rocky and unsuitable for farming. California's Central Valley is one of the most important arable regions in the United States, producing a huge portion of the country's fruits, vegetables, and nuts. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to give you adjectives 47 through 50 all together. Weird looking, funny looking, strange looking, odd looking. Notice how the stress is always on the first part. Weird looking, funny looking, strange looking, odd looking. Definition: something looks strange, not normal. Funny? Does funny mean ha 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 funny? No, in this case it means strange, not something that makes you laugh. The ocean is full of weird-looking creatures. Raymonda tried to describe the strange-looking man she saw waiting at the bus stop. Can you remember the last time you saw something that was odd-looking? Part 5 test time. In this part, there are only 9 sentences. Critical is used 2 times. And these last 4 adjectives can be used interchangeably. Pause the lesson to do this. And here are the answers. Great job. You are halfway there. How are you feeling? There's been a lot of information so far. If you finish today's lesson and only remember 15 new words, that's a success. Believe me. Well, let's keep going. Amicable. 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 Definition: a situation, agreement, or relationship is friendly with no problems, even if people disagree. I was surprised at how amicable our disagreement was. We both just agreed to disagree and move on. Even though Dylan and Kate broke up, they managed to stay amicable and still hang out with the same group of friends. Break up, hang out. These are two common phrasal verbs. Today's lesson is all about adjectives, but if you want to take your English to the next level, learn phrasal verbs as well. I'll link my phrasal verb videos in the description below. Contentious, contentious, contentious. This topic, decision or opinion, might cause a disagreement or argument. The meeting became highly contentious when the team started debating the budget cuts. I would love to say that Jen and Nate's divorce was amicable, but I believe it was very contentious. Making a contentious decision like cutting funding for local schools will always cause uproar in the media. Evident, evident, evident. Definition, clear, obvious. The situation is easy to understand. It was evident that Sarah had put a lot of effort into her presentation. It looked great. It was pretty evident that Max hadn't prepared for the interview at all. He couldn't answer any questions about the company. Not everyone would have noticed, but it was evident to the coach that the gymnast had hurt himself. 54. Considerable, considerable, considerable. Large, it makes you notice it. And I'm not talking about things like we wouldn't say, elephants are considerable. No, we're talking about amounts, skills, damage, effort, more abstract things. You've made considerable progress in your English over the past few months. A big improvement. Sometimes it takes considerable strength to step outside of your comfort zone. The doctor warned Sue that the surgery carries considerable risk at her age. Okay, number 55 sounds almost like number 54, but it has a completely different definition. Considerate, considerate, considerate. A person is kind and polite. They think about others. Please be considerate and turn your phone off before the movie starts. Think about the people around you. Angela is such a considerate student. When the teacher made a mistake during the lesson, Angela politely mentioned the mistake after the lesson. What's the opposite of considerate? Number 56, inconsiderate. 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 Definition, rude. You don't think about other people. Talking loudly on your phone in a public space is extremely inconsiderate. It was inconsiderate of Penny to leave her trash on the table for the staff to clean up. Think of your own personal examples. When was the last time someone was being considerate or inconsiderate? Look at this sponge. Sponges are absorbent. 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 Easily pulls in liquid or information. Paper towels are designed to be absorbent so they can clean up messes quickly. We can also speak about the mind. The mind can be like a sponge sometimes, right? Young children are incredibly absorbent when it comes to learning new languages. 58. Resilient. 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 Tough. Remember number 35? Tough. And able to recover from something difficult. Some bacteria have become resilient to antibiotics, making infections harder to treat. After failing the exam, Sarah was resilient and studied even harder to pass the next one. I'm optimistic that our economy will remain resilient. Ideal, ideal, ideal. Perfect. I can't imagine something better. What would be your ideal vacation? Oh, this cabinet would be ideal for our kitchen. It's just what we need. On my flight to Taiwan, I have 2 layovers, one in Amsterdam and one in Hong Kong. It's not ideal, but at least it's a cheap flight. And a layover. Layover is a stop you make on a trip. Usually we have layovers at airports. 60. Odious. 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 Extremely unpleasant. You hate this. We are often speaking about people, tasks, or behavior. For the 5th week in a row, I was given the odious task of cleaning the outdoor bathrooms. The only mill in town was run by an odious old man who treated everyone with cruelty and refused to pay fair wages. And a mill is a place in the past where you could grind wheat to make flour. Such odious remarks will not be tolerated in my home. You may leave. Whew. Part 6, test. Wow. I think this test is one of the hardest. I mean, look at this vocabulary. Give it a try. Pause the video to do this. And here are the answers. Don't forget to leave me your score for test 6 in the comments. Let's keep moving. 61. Chubby. 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 Definition: fat in a cute way. Usually we are speaking about babies. I love kissing my niece's chubby little cheeks. Cherubs. Cherubs are chubby. And cherubs are little angels you see in classical art. I think you know the ones. Your dog is getting a bit chubby. Beloved. 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 Loved very much. And this is a formal adjective. The reason I want to emphasize that is because in my YouTube comments or in a conversation, some students say beloved. It's really not common in day-to-day speech or social media. Think about novels, literature, formal situations. And this adjective is usually only used for people or places. On a gravestone, you might see, "In loving memory of our beloved father, John Smith. May he rest in peace." A speech when a teacher is retiring. Today, we are saying goodbye to one of our most beloved teachers, Maggie, who has served our school for over 30 years. After years of living abroad, Charlotte finally returned to her beloved hometown, where she grew up and made so many memories. Okay, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 63, ethical. 64, unethical. Ethical. Ethical. Unethical. Unethical. I'm sure you've seen cartoons or pictures of a person with an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. We know the angel represents good choices and the devil represents bad choices. If something is ethical, it can relate to choices in general or good choices and behavior. Unethical relates to bad choices and behavior. Cloning humans isn't just a scientific debate, it's an ethical one. Should this be allowed? That's a debatable topic. More and more companies are sharing information about their ethical practices, like using sustainable materials and paying fair wages to workers. You know, sometimes on food packages, you'll see a sticker that says ethically sourced. Here, this is an adverb. This means the food comes from a place that respects people and the environment. A famous cosmetics company was forced to shut down after its unethical treatment of animals was revealed. The journalist's unethical decision to expose a private individual's information led to public outrage and legal action. I think most people would agree that it's unethical to expose someone's private information without their consent. Numbers 65 and 66. The good news is these two have the same definition. Yes, they are synonymous. Rammed, rammed, packed, packed. I will say that rammed is more common in British English. Definition: crowded, very full of people. The subway was absolutely packed this morning. I might walk to work tomorrow. By midday, the coffee shop was rammed and finding a seat was nearly impossible. I avoid all beaches during the summer because they are just packed with families and tourists. When was the last time you went to a place that was rammed or packed? Uneasy, uneasy, uneasy. You feel uncomfortable or worried. It makes me uneasy to ask for help. I don't want someone to say no or think I can't handle something myself. Do you ever get that uneasy feeling that you are being watched? Having the CEO attend the meeting made everyone feel a bit uneasy. He doesn't normally come to meetings. Why was he here? What kinds of things make you feel uneasy? Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy. Not safe, bad, or dishonest. We are usually speaking about people or neighborhoods. The man who sold me this bike looked a bit sketchy. I'm beginning to wonder if this bike was stolen. I'd avoid the part of town on the other side of the river. It's fine during the day, but it's a bit sketchy at night. Doable, doable, doable. This is possible to do at a party shop. I know this is really last minute, but could I have 100 helium-filled balloons ready by 3 tomorrow? That's really not much notice for us. We could have them ready by 7. That's doable. That's possible. Learning all 100 of these adjectives is definitely doable if you review them regularly. Flammable, flammable, flammable. Definition: this can burn easily. Be careful. What kinds of things are flammable? Gasoline, aerosol sprays, dry leaves. The warehouse stores flammable materials, so strict fire safety rules are in place. Do you want to know something strange? In English, inflammable means the same thing. Yeah, flammable, inflammable, they're synonymous. What? But the prefix in makes it the opposite, right? No, they're the same thing. I don't know why. Part 7, test time. You know what to do. Pause the video to do this. And here are the answers. What's your score for part 7? Please let me know. I'm not going to stop asking you. Pushy, pushy, pushy. Definition: a person tries to make you do something. This is uncomfortable. Imagine someone literally pushing you. They're being pushy. The sales assistant was so pushy that I left the store without buying anything. I didn't like how she kept trying to sell me things after I had already said no. Can you please stop being so pushy? I can make my own decisions. Who was the last pushy person you met? Loquacious. 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 Definition, this person talks a lot. Now, is this a positive or a negative adjective? It depends on the situation. Sometimes loquacious people are fun to talk to. Other times, you just don't want that. Mr. Wexler was a loquacious young man who was eager to share his life story with anyone who would listen. Diana's loquacious nature, though charming at first, eventually became a distraction during the negotiations. There's gotta be an informal word for this, right? Yep, number 73, talkative. 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 Notice how the L is silent. My new coworker is really talkative. It actually makes a nice change from my previous coworker who could go the whole day without saying one word to me. Can you think of the last time you were really talkative? Reasonable. 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 Definition? Practical. Fair. You use logic, not emotions, to make decisions. Pete is going to get angry that I broke the projector. Do you think he'll fire me? No, absolutely not. He's incredibly reasonable and will know it was an accident. I don't think it's reasonable to expect a reply to your email today. I know you really want a response, but most people don't work on Sundays. Oh God, this guy again. Zach, if you give me a reasonable excuse for being late, I won't get mad. Reasonable can also mean a fair price. Beth says I can rent the room for $250 a month. You know, for that location, it's a really reasonable price. If I were you, I'd take it. In your country, what's a reasonable price for a cup of coffee? Indifferent. 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 I'm not interested. I don't not care, but I also don't care. It makes no difference in my life. If someone is indifferent, they do this. I am indifferent when it comes to politics. I don't read about it. I'm not interested. I was surprised by how indifferent Tyler seemed when his team lost the game. Usually he'd be going nuts. It must be hard being a flight attendant and giving the safety instructions to a bunch of indifferent passengers. Indifferent is a neutral adjective. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just neutral. The next adjective has a similar meaning, but the feeling is more negative. 76, apathetic. 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 You are not interested in something important. Let's compare. Indifferent. You're not interested. Neutral adjective. I used to love watching the Academy Awards, but nowadays I'm indifferent to who wins. Apathetic. You're not interested. Negative adjective. Unfortunately, many young people are depressed and apathetic about their futures. How can you be so apathetic about your father's health? Can you please show some concern? Biased. 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 Definition: your opinion is not neutral, because your opinion is based on what you personally like or want. It's like this little graphic here. This circle is better because yellow is my favorite color. Well, some people prefer green. I hope this image helps you. The sports commentator was clearly biased toward one team. He kept complimenting their players even when they weren't performing well. News channels are supposed to be neutral, but they always seem biased toward one political party. And you can see we often say biased toward something. My students are the best students in the world. I'm not being biased. It's a fact. Okay, let's do 3 together because they mean the same thing. Loaded, loaded, loaded. Very rich. This adjective is very informal and can even be considered slang. Ian is loaded. He just bought a new Lamborghini. Wealthy, wealthy, wealthy. Very rich. This project is being funded by several wealthy investors. Affluent, affluent, affluent. Very rich, but there's a combination of money and social status. So if someone wins the lottery, they wouldn't be considered an affluent person. But if your family has been wealthy for generations, you'd be considered affluent. This adjective often describes people, families, areas, or nations. Only children from affluent families can afford to attend this private high school. Tuition is $50,000 a year. Janine grew up in an affluent neighborhood and was shocked by the poverty she saw when she traveled abroad for the first time. It was truly eye-opening. Part 8, test time. With this test, yes, several of the words have similar definitions. Try to find the adjective that fits best. Think about formality as well. Pause the lesson to do this. And here are the answers. How many correct did you get out of 10? Let me know. 81. Malicious. 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 Definition: you want this to intentionally hurt someone or something. Someone began spreading a malicious rumor in the office about Beatrice. It was completely untrue, but it had such a detrimental impact on her mental health that she quit her job. Malicious software often gets into systems through email attachments, so always be cautious when opening unknown emails. Andrew has his own political podcast and often receives malicious comments in the chat. 82. Gourmet. 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 Notice how the T is silent. This is a French word, but we've taken it in English. Gourmet dishes look like this. I treated myself to a gourmet meal at a swanky restaurant for my birthday. When I say gourmet, I have to do this. Gourmet. Gourmet. You should do it too. This restaurant is known for its gourmet dishes and excellent service. My local deli offers a variety of gourmet cheeses from around the world. The good news is number 83 and 84 have the same definition. Not enough staff. Not enough workers. Understaffed. Understaffed. Short-staffed. Short-staffed. Thank you for your patience. We're really short-staffed today, so things might take a bit longer than usual. Many hospitals are understaffed, which creates longer waiting times for patients. Yep, I'm grouping adjectives again. Sometimes it's easy to learn adjectives when they are grouped together, so you can compare them. 85, waterproof. 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 Soundproof. 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 Bulletproof. 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 Childproof. 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 Water cannot enter. Sound cannot enter. Bullets cannot enter. Children cannot enter. My watch is waterproof, so I can wear it whenever I go swimming. Most professional music studios are soundproof, so the outside noise doesn't interfere with the recording. The president's car has bulletproof windows for extra security. We bought childproof locks for all of our windows. Our 3-year-old son won't be able to open them. Can proof be added to any word? No. I've chosen some of the most common for you. 89, goofy. Goofy. I like this word. Goofy. Silly and funny, not serious. In a positive way. This is a positive adjective. My daughter covered her notebook in goofy stickers. My little brother always makes these goofy faces to make us laugh. And do any of you know this cartoon character? His name is actually Goofy because he says and does a lot of goofy things. Number 90, swamped. Swamped. Just one syllable. Swamped. Super busy. Too much work to do. I wish I could help you, Tina, but I'm swamped at work. Is there anyone else you can call? I'm swamped with assignments. I don't think I can go out this weekend. Can you remember the last time you were swamped? Part 9 test. I can't believe we are already here. Pause the lesson to do this. And here are the answers. Remember, short-staffed and understaffed are interchangeable, so whichever one you chose is absolutely fine. But you know what is not fine? Not telling me your score. So tell me your score in the comments. Part 10. Woo! 91. Apprehensive. 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 Anxious about something that might happen in the future. Gina felt apprehensive about flying for the first time. I'm a bit apprehensive about meeting my new colleagues next week. I hope I get along with them. It's completely normal to feel apprehensive about starting something new. Candid. 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 Honest and direct. But this can make someone feel uncomfortable. Some people would have felt criticized, but I actually really appreciated Michael's candid feedback. So many interviewees give scripted answers to the questions we ask. It was refreshing to hear Elaine's candid answers about our company. I can always be candid with my mom and vice versa. Arduous. 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 This is difficult and needs a lot of energy. We are usually speaking about journeys or work. Completing the project on time was an arduous challenge. Everyone was relieved when it was finally submitted. I think all graduate students would agree that writing their dissertation was an arduous task, one they would never want to repeat. Poignant. 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 Notice how the G is silent. Definition: gives a deep sadness. Remember number 10, moving, causing strong emotions of sadness, empathy, or joy? Sometimes moving and poignant can be used interchangeably, but moving can be used for other strong emotions. Poignant is usually about sadness. The book I'm reading tells a poignant story of a homeless mother's struggles. Honestly, it can be a bit hard to read. My grandmother's funeral was a poignant reminder of how important family is to all of us. Deferential, deferential, deferential. Respectful and polite. Although many teenagers are rebellious, Iris remained deferential toward her teachers and parents. In many cultures, the elderly are given deferential treatment, such as being offered seats on public transportation and being addressed with special respect. Intrepid, intrepid, intrepid. Brave. You have no fear. We are usually speaking about adventures. The intrepid journalist ventured into war zones to cover the stories that the world needed to hear. Marceline's great-grandfather was an intrepid explorer who traveled to unknown lands. 97. Petty, petty, petty. Not important. If you care about this, it makes you look small-minded. It was petty of Will not to tip the waitress because she accidentally forgot to put ice in his drink. Is no ice really important? No. There is one clip I want to show you. This is from the TV show Friends. This man and this woman just had an argument. So you can see him not closing the door is petty behavior. The manager's petty rules about where to put our coffee mugs made everyone frustrated. Why does it matter where we put our mugs? Lax. You can see just one syllable. Lax. Rules are not strong, or a person is not strict enough. Parents criticize the teacher for being too lax with exam preparation. They felt the teacher should be doing more. I was surprised by how lax the security was at the airport. A lot of bags weren't even put through the x-rays. Think about the word relax. When you relax, you are easygoing and you don't care about what's happening. So if someone is lax, they are too relaxed. Can you read this handwriting? No, neither can I. Can you read this handwriting? No, neither can I. If you cannot read handwriting, we call it illegible. 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 If your answers are illegible on the test paper, they will be marked as incorrect. My handwriting is illegible. I think I'm the only one who can read it. Number 100. You are a champion. We are on the very last one. 100. Horse. Horse. Yes, it's pronounced just like the animal. Horse. Definition: your voice is rough because you are sick or you've been speaking too much. So this is why I chose 100 to be horse, because I thought, by the end of this lesson, I might actually be hoarse. But I'm not. So maybe my next lesson can be 200 adjectives. Sorry if I'm a bit hoarse today, class. I have a sore throat. Gabriel was hoarse the day after watching his favorite basketball team. He had spent the whole game shouting and cheering. When was the last time you were hoarse? Final test You know what to do. And here are the answers. How did you do on test number 10? You did it! I am amazed. Thank you so much for completing today's lesson. I really hope you learned something new. Yep, if you walk away from today's lesson with just 15 new adjectives, I am happy. I can't wait to make another lesson for you. I'll see you next time.